Well, I feel like I've been to church. I'm ready to sit down, receive the offering, and go home. No, we're not going to do that. But when I allow all the good that has already taken place this morning to resonate within me, I feel so very blessed to be here with each and every one here in the sanctuary and online. I am Reverend Karen Einhaus. I am the senior minister of this amazing community. And this week, particularly, I have been reflecting a lot about my journey of finding the New Vision Center. And so you're going to hear a little bit about that. But I wanted to start off by positioning us in this now moment. We are, as you know, most of you know, part of Centers for Spiritual Living, a global organization that has centers like the New Vision Center, teaching centers where people get together and study the science of mind, and online communities all over the world. And I want to say it was about 10 years ago, this organization started to develop an annual theme and offered it to all its participants to step into and make it their own. And we didn't do it until, 3 years ago? I think 3 years ago was the first time where our annual survey, where we asked each and every one, what would you like to lean more into? What would you like to develop more deeply an understanding of? And the theme that the Centers for Spiritual Living brought forth were very, very close. And so Reverend Leslie and I took a look at it, and we decided we're going to give it a try to utilize the annual theme of Centers for Spiritual Living. And we always change at least 4 or 5 months because it's us, right? We have things we want to talk about that are different, let's say. But I'm curious would you raise your hand if you have been to a different Centers for Spiritual Living in the world? All right. Online, let us know through the chat. And then I would love to have you raise your hand if you were part of a different Centers for Spiritual Living and then found New Vision Center. Yes. All right. Thank you. That's just for research purposes. But it's interesting, right? It's really interesting to see how we are all connected. And so this month, 300 centers all over the globe have been offered this annual theme, Open at the Top, and in this month particularly, What If? Now, I have a call scheduled next week with the president of the Centers for Spiritual Living Leadership Council, and I'm going to ask her if she knows how many centers created a what if wall. What are you thinking? Maybe one? Maybe New Vision Center? For those beloveds online, there is how the what if wall currently looks. If you remember at the first Sunday of March, I introduced this concept, and everyone was invited to write on there, what if? What if? And I invite you to spend some time with that wall, if you haven't already added your what if to it, and read the things that are on there. It is so inspiring. So that's one of the things I'm interested in. And then we had a great month of powerful talks. And today's offer for the talk is, want to change the world? Do it. And when I first read this talk title back in probably January, I was like, yeah, there are times in my life where I was like, I'm ready to change the world. I'm ready to do it. And there have also been seasons in my life, particularly when I found New Vision Center almost 20 years ago, where just contemplating that question was so out of my realm, because on the inside, and I cleaned up the language a little bit, it said, I can't even make it through a day. How am I going to change the world? It was a lot more colorful language. But that's how I felt. And I remember one particular talk that Reverend Michel Medrano, who was the senior minister at that time, gave that was like, I'm willing to carry the light, and I'm inviting you all to come with me, and we are going to change the world. And I was just curled up in the back of the sanctuary, tending to my own heart. And so it made me think about that right now, in this moment, of the 120 people here in the sanctuary, the same amount probably online. Some of us are in a season, in a month, in a day, where that question is almost too much. And so I wanted to bring attention to what the Dalai Lama said. If we want to heal, we need to bring ourselves so much compassion. We need to give ourselves so much compassion for the healing work that we need to do, that I came up with a sticker system, very sophisticated, very sophisticated. And so the question is, which season are you in? In a moment, a couple of beloveds are going to pass out a couple stickers. And here's the question that I ask you to ask yourself. Am I ready to be stirred? Do I want to really have an experience that is different and I am ready to go? Or I'm in a place where I want to be soothed. I want to know that there's a place within me that has never been harmed, that has never been damaged, that is whole, perfect, and complete, that is the divine, and I want to know that I have access to it if I give myself into this vibration of love that is present here. And here's what I want you to know. Both of those areas are perfect, because they are where we are. They are neither good or bad, more mature or less mature. They are simply different. And here is where I think it behooves us to get clear, just for ourselves. What season am I in? What season am I in? So we are going to, in a moment, I'm going to ask all those beloveds that I talked to come forward and pass out those stickers. And here is the invitation. Pick the one that is right for you, and don't worry what anybody else is doing. And you can hold it in your heart, you can have it someplace where nobody will see it, or you can put it in front of you on the back of the seat in front of you. It's really about making the decision, getting clear, because what is it that we know? We know that depending on where I stand, where I am, how close I feel connected to that which is greater than I am, I hear everything that is happening in the world differently. Have you ever had that experience? You're in a room with two different people, something happens, one goes like, wow, and the other goes like, ah! Something like that. Have you ever had that? Right? Oh, if I could have the time back that I spent trying to figure out if I was right, did I feel that correctly, all of that stuff. If I would have the foresight, the awareness to say, oh, I am in a place where I need some healing. I am in a place where I need to tend to myself. Or, oh, I am ready to have a different experience. I want to find out how can I change. Either one is okay. All right. So I'm going to invite the beloveds to pass out those stickers. We're going to just, if I would have thought about it, I would have asked somebody to go ahead and play a little music, if that gives us something to focus on. And so the idea is to pass on, and then when you have your sticker, just come back to your own self. Just come back to your own self. You will notice that we purposefully cut off the yellow stickers that were also on this, because my guess would have been a lot of people would have picked that. Because how often do we ask ourselves that question? How often do we ask, which season am I in? How's it going? I'm curious if we're running out of colors in the different sections. If we have more, I think the most people are sitting over there if you want to support. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Frank. I want to tell you a little Zen story. I love Zen stories. They make me think. There's this young monk who goes to the master monk and says, I am ready to change the world. What do I do? How do I do it? And the master monk says, well, you're going to start by changing the people around you. So go ahead and start there. Did you read the story too? And so he does, right? He tries to change his family. And then he tried to change the village he was in. And then he tried to change the community of Buddhist monks. And after a long while, he came back to the master exhausted. And he said, that did not work. What did I do wrong? And the master, in his wisdom, said, I don't know. Perhaps try changing yourself next. Let's see how that works. And so the monk went about. He turned inward. He practiced. He softened. He listened. And he healed. And in that process, he became more patient and more present and more compassionate. And then a surprising thing happened. His family changed. His village changed. His community changed. I love that when I started telling that story, so many people were like, oh, I know where this is going, right? Because we know it, don't we? We know trying to change anybody else is like rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. It's not changing anything. Temporarily, we're going to feel better, no question, but it's not changing something fundamentally. And so, we know this. And yet, what happens when we are confronted with it, whatever it is? I just would love a mini Karen, right, that would be sitting right here, that would say, take a breath, and understand that this doesn't have much to do with you, other than the way you hear it. I don't know if I've ever brought my ex-husband Mike into this conversation. I hope he's not listening. No. Just kidding. That was the divorce I went through that brought me to my knees. And that was the time I found the New Vision Center, through a voice on the radio that said, New Vision, where we look at our stuff differently. And I thought, I need to look at my stuff differently. And it took a good 1.5 years for me to work through that painful experience, much like what Jerry talked about today in her beautiful share. To heal and to understand that all the stuff that happened, some of that was my stuff. And the stuff that caused us to get a divorce had very little to do with me. If you have ever gone through such a healing journey, you know that it takes everything we have. So if we then sit in a sanctuary in front of our computer with this question, do you want to change the world? It behooves us to know, what season am I in? What season am I in? As you know, about a month ago, I was over in Germany, and I came across a teaching that was in German, and I loved it so well, and it had a profound impact on me. And I brought it back, and I translated it, and I'm going to share it here in a moment. And I want to give a fair warning. Tom always says, German jokes don't translate into English. Let's see how this goes. All right, so regardless of in what season you find yourself in, there's probably a place, maybe an area in your life, some challenge, inward or outward, that you would like to have a different experience about. And what this work, the question that it asks is, here I am, the person that I am currently, and I know I want to become this person, but I feel stuck. I don't quite know how to do that. And the first point that it made was that we have to pay attention to our own nervous system, If we have been in a place as the New Vision Center, in a place that teaches awareness, where we bring up really taking a look at what is happening within me, we have to, I don't even know that compassion is enough of a strong word. We have to be radically loving of our nervous system, to protect it like we would a brand new baby or a little puppy. We have to find ways to calm on the inside. I know there are many medical individuals here that could give the medical explanation for that, But what I have found and what I implore us to recognize is if my nervous system is frayed, it takes a lot to even accept and welcome and appreciate all the good that is present in my life. So let's take a breath. And then my question was, well, how do we do that? What are some ways? Breath is the first thing. Taking a breath. And so let's do that together. Yes. And the second thing was movement. I thought that was interesting. Movement. So just the other day I started Tai Chi, and I see a friend in here who turned me on to that. Movement. So if you feel that your nervous system could use some attention and loving kindness, breathing and movement. And then the next point that they brought up was habits. Now, there have been great books written about habits. I think probably one of the last most popular ones was Atomic Habits, that I know some people have read here. So habits, we have to find ways when we decide, oh, I know what I need to do, I need to, whatever that is, we have to make these habits easy and enjoyable, because otherwise they fall away. They fall away like New Year's resolutions on the 17th of January, right? So pick one thing, one habit that you noticed that feels like, man, I sabotage myself. I sabotage by what I say I really want to create and I want to experience. And turn it into a habit that is joyful and easily built into your day. There were some great recommendations. If that is an area of interest, reach out to me and I'll share some of those. So it is our nervous system, our habits, and the next area that they looked at is mindset. Now, I feel like that is an area we here at the New Vision Center really tend to, right? We talk a lot about our mindset, the power of our thought. We talk almost every Sunday about that. What's important is that this is not positive thinking. We are not going to use positive thinking to change the world. This is really coming to the very center of who we are, taking a look at what our beliefs are, and if there are barriers to noticing the vibration of love in the world, we'll have to look for tools to remove those. Albert Einstein, right? Famously for saying, there's a point in every man's life where he decides if the universe is benevolent or hostile. That's what we need to arrive at. We need to know that. That is vital information on every morning before we start our day. Do I believe in the center of my being that there is a powerful good in the universe and that I can use it? And those are very, very personal questions that we need to ask ourselves. And all of that thinking creates our mindset, and all of that helps us to create the identity that we want to embody. One of the suggestions to get to the identity was to rewrite our story. To rewrite our story. And there's this class coming up. It's mental equivalence, isn't it? It's mental equivalence, which is just such a fancy name, right? But mental equivalence, what that really means is I want to see, and I am paraphrasing, you have to go and take the class to know the whole thing. This is just Sunday morning, easy, condensed down version. Mental equivalent. I see the person I want to be. I see the person I want to live from the inside, and I'm here. And how do I move myself to that? Because, beloveds, at the end of the day, that is all of what we are doing. That is what we're doing. We have these goals, these ideals, these ways of how we want to be, and our work is to bring those two versions of ourselves as close together as we can. And the work of the New Vision Center or any center like this is to support us wherever we find ourselves, however big the gap is, in bringing us together on the inside. And you know whom it takes to do that work? That is the work that we do on the inside. Because that is where we make the decision. Do I participate in the Wednesday evening spiritual gathering midweek? Do I go to the Taizé? Do I take a class? Do I come to service? Do I apply the tools that are every week offered? We are not here to shame anybody into this work. We are simply here to continuously invite you into it and invite each other into it. I'm looking at my beloved Reverend Leslie, right? That's what we do. That's the work. Gently, using very different words to entice us to say yes, to create habits that are easy to do, and to rewrite our story to claim that who we say we want to be in the world. We have an affirmation that speaks to this, and I'm sorry to our slide team. I know I went totally out of order, but the affirmation is powerful. It says, I change the world by healing what lives in me. And I would love for us to say that together. I change the world by healing what lives in me. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, in the Living the Science of Mind book says this: at the center of our own being is a divine person, a unique incarnation of God. This is the source of all real inspiration. Here, and here alone, at the center of our being is the real creative power. Let's say this together, and we're going to turn it into the first person. And if it works for you, allow your eyes to close. You can put your hand on your heart. At the center of my being is a divine person, a unique incarnation of God. This is the source of all real inspiration. Here and only here, at the center of my being, is the real creative power. And as we allow that to echo within us, we realize, as that is true for ourselves, it is true for every other person. If we know them, if we don't know them, if they look like us or don't look like us, if they vote like us or don't vote like us or don't vote at all, if they live here in the United States of America or in some other place, it matters not. The law works everywhere, all the same, just like gravity. And so what is the invitation for this week? What is the invitation? The invitation, I really would like to invite us all to find one habit that we are aware that we're doing that is self-sabotaging, that is not getting us to the point where we want to be. There are 36 people on a metaphysical Lenten journey right now, and we have been laying things down that we identified that don't serve us anymore. Pick one thing that you know you do. Yes, thank you. Support from a 2-year-old, I love it. Pick one. Pick that habit, make it fun, create a fun way of shifting and changing it, and see what moves in your world. And then answer the question. Want to change the world? Do it. Thank you. Now we're going to anchor this in prayer. Just find your feet on the ground. If you're here in the sanctuary, if you're at home, wherever you find yourself, turning lovingly within, perhaps rising up on the inner self of your beingness into that space where everything falls away, the place of the Most High, the place where we know that we are one in the one, that love, light, beauty, power, joy, all of the attributes of the divine are at the very center of our being. And so we recognize the divine. And then we take a moment and consciously step into it and feel that as I have my being in it, so does every beloved within the sound of my voice has their being in the divine. And so it is from this place that I speak a word for all of the beloveds who have placed a prayer request into our prayer ministry. It is from this place that I hold all the beloveds who are walking through a challenging time in their lives, in grace, in love, in peace. All of the beloveds who are finding themselves on top of the world, I stand with them in joy. It is with such gratitude that I know that each beloved is divinely guided, guarded, and directed at all times. And so I simply place this word into universal law. I let it be, I let it go, and so it is.